A very good evening to you, students. We continue with the fifth module, media message reception. We have stopped in between yesterday. We will continue. Today's topic is media vehicles for messages and types. So we discussed here two media vehicles, namely print media messages and electronic media messages. We will see what it is. Print media messages. The copy of the print media takes a direct path from the eye to the brain of the newspaper reader because we are visually putting our eyes, reading from left to right, and we are employing our brain to see, make sense of the news item. Therefore, the print media format can include comparatively more diverse and in-depth coverage of topics and news stories. As we are employing our eyes and brain or mind, so it takes different formats. As I said in the previous class, print media or any news item, so it has most important point, inverted pyramid structure, most important points to the least important points. Okay, these are news items. We have feature articles which are in depth on a particular topic, or news stories. Because of the traditional respect for the printed word, as also because of the greater freedom which the print media enjoys when compared to other media, newspapers and magazines have more credibility and shoulder great social response. More credibility, yes. Today, there is a lot of fake news coming in through social media, through digital media. Whereas print newspapers and magazines enjoy a lot of credibility because there is evidence to show. There is a source to refer back. Which are very difficult to find in social media. And they shoulder greatest social responsibility. Some of the newspapers, if you take, for example, Eenadu, in district newspapers, they publish Nadu Nedu. How it was yesterday, how it is today. Okay, citizen journalism, social responsibility. People also involve citizen participation, citizen journalism. Okay. Lately, the print media have acquired more of color and gloss, and the contents are getting graphic treatment as well as a result of new printing technologies. Okay, and the paper also gets changed. Okay, glossy paper is used mostly for magazines. The quality also will be different. A lot of color. Okay, the now layouts are different. The placement of news items are varying from one organization to another organization. Okay, some give more importance to printing, some give more importance to news or visuals. Okay. The use of new technology is making print media impact more effectively. What sort of printing technology you use? Okay, what sort of printing technology do you use? Okay, we have seen offset printing, we have seen gravure printing. So what sort of printing you use? Consequently, more readers and advertisers are drawn to print media. Okay, it depends on the quality of paper that you use, quality of printing that you choose. Okay. Times of India, Hindu, Malayalam, Manorama, the Anand Bajar Patrika, Punjab Kesari, India Today, Stardust, Lok Satta, Now Bharat Times, and many other publications have become the household favorites, sending across their messages more powerfully. Okay, each one has their own brand. For example, Hindu, generally people believe that they use good language to communicate the message. Okay, their features or editorials, you find very good language. Okay, Times of India, Deccan Chronicle, very simple language. People will be able to read it comfortably. Okay, like each one has its own specialty. With regard to electronic media messages, the messages of the electronic media, including the radio, satellite TV, cable TV, video magazines, and films, are replete with the spoken word, sound inputs, and the action-oriented visuals. It is a narration of a story or a narration of a news through visuals, through visuals. If it is in the case of a radio, through audio, through spoken word, sound effects. Okay. As the radio copy is to be read aloud, writing must follow the common speech pattern. Okay. You know, when you are writing for radio, your language needs to be simple, direct, and short, so that people will be able to remember it. People will be able to remember. If you are using complex sentence or compound sentence, people will not be able to retain what the message is carried up, what the message is delivered. Okay, so you should remember that your language needs to be simple and sentences needs to be short and to the point. You should not beat about the bush. Okay. It needs to be written in the conversational style because the ear is most used to conversation. So conversation style, it's a conversational style. Okay. The conversational language is simple and informal. Okay. Simple and informal. Simple, not included any complex sentence, compound sentences. Okay. With the simple language. Okay. Simple style like subject, verb, object. The simple sentence is the most effective tool for the writer of a radio copy. Likewise, simple and commonly understood words to be used. Besides, an easy flow of the language has to be ensured. In a broadcasting text, you are telling a story. Okay, you are narrating a story. You are telling a story. You are narrating a story for the audience. Okay, the beauty of the radio is there is no literacy barrier here. Okay. Even the illiterates can follow it, okay, as they are working in the field. As cab driver is driving a car, he can pay attention to. Okay, so you are reaching to mass audience. So if they want to retain your message, let it be simple and informal conversational style. Therefore, you use words and phrases that can be spoken naturally and share the story in a simple way so that we relate to a story as shared. When we relate, when it is communicated in an understanding way, okay, so that we can easily resonate with that particular story, when it is easily grasped. If the language does not sound natural, if the meaning of words is not instantly clear to the listeners, it is not good radio style, simple way to understand. If you're not able to communicate in simple language, if your audience are not able to get what you are saying, what you are communicating, then it's not following a very good radio program style. One of the other important characteristics of broadcasting message is that spoken words must match with other audio elements. Okay, because radio is equal to spoken word, audio, or spoken word, audio plus sound effects. So what you speak should be synchronized with the audio or sound effects. Suppose you are talking about a person opening the door, then according to the door sound has to come so that they will visualize. Suppose you are doing a radio drama, so the words that you are speaking, okay, it needs to be shown as if they are actually watching a radio drama. So there needs to be synchronization. Radio being an oral medium, fine statistics should be avoided in news or other informational programs. Okay, no one bothers about statistics. Okay, give in a crispy manner the essence of your message. The television writing is picture presentation of a story. So visual presentation of a story. Okay, visual presentation. For example, Agnipath issue. So how do you write a story for your audience? Okay, so sometimes when you write, you need to describe your visuals. So visuals replace your verbal ones. So not much talking, but your visuals should speak. Okay, should speak. Programs are shown, not told. Programs are shown through visuals. So one visual is worth of 1,000 words. Okay, 1,000 words. So programs are shown through visuals. They are not told. The TV copy is a split copy describing both the video and audio components. So there are different types of formats, okay, for writing television. Okay, you have a full page format, okay, that is used for serials, okay, that is used for serials, or that's mainly. Next, split page format, that which is referred here, split page format. This is called split page format. One side you have audio, on the other side you have a video. Okay, then we have a semi-script in the sense, sometimes it is scripted, during the show it is scripted, and some other points are spontaneously. Okay, there is no particular thing. Words lose 2/3 of their value on the TV as the eye holds up the picture. Okay, eye holds up. As we said, our eyes, okay, when visuals are shown, we tend to retain the emotionally charged visuals for a quite long time. Sometimes when we refer, so those visuals come to our mind. Suppose Agnipath, when we want to explain about it, the fire, the trains that are set on fire come to our mind. Okay, when youth are fired with guns, okay, that we know these are very powerful, emotionally filled visuals. We tend to, our eyes tend to hold up. What is being seen on the TV screen need not be described through words. Sometimes some news channels, they describe, okay, now the person is going, now the cars are going. That is need not to be described. It's already visual, very visible there. Okay, very visible. In video magazines, interviewers articulate through shots to produce poignant or striking news stories. In films, the still pictures captured by the camera at a speed of 24 shots per second or 24 frames per second and projected at the same speed by the projector in the hall creates an illusion of motion pictures on the widescreen, depicting a vivid human story punctuated by dance and song sequences and scenes of touching and dramatic actions. You know how films, okay? Films means you have 3-act structure they follow. You have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have a conclusion. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So this, so let's say if the film is 3 hours, okay? 3 hours, 5 minutes, one song. So like that, 5 songs. Okay, 5 into 5, 25. Sometimes films have 6 songs, 30 minutes over. Okay, if there are fights, 4 fights, 5 minutes each, 20, 50 minutes are over. Okay, then other than related story, like introducing the family, introducing the villain, so it takes 20 minutes. Introducing the female lead character, 20 minutes, over 1.5. 1 hour, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Comedy sequence, again that takes 15 to 20 minutes. 1.5 movies, 1.5 hour movies over. So where is the crux? How many minutes the crux? How many minutes? How is it presented? Okay, how is it presented? So how it visually narrated a story, visually narrated. We know all these things. Okay, we know all these things. Sometimes we also know it is done on green mat. It is done on blue mat. Okay, it is not real, but it is only made up of. Or no, as a grown-up adults, we know them. The message writing or scripting varies from medium to medium. And unless it is done to suit the typical attributes of that medium and is in tune with the socio-economic conditions, attitudes, and media habits of the target audience, the messages may not have the desired impact. The programs may not click with the audience. Suppose you want to appeal to your audience through films. So films have to be like a films. It should not be like a serial. So you need to choose. You need to script accordingly. The message writing or scripting, okay, where is from? Okay, radio, we need to write in a particular way. Short sentences, simple language, and straightforward, and conversational tone. Okay, if you are writing for television news, it has a different format. If you are communicating your message through films, it needs to be different. Okay, it needs to be different. So message communication, based on the medium that you choose, you want to reach out to your audience. Very important. So appropriate channel, appropriate medium in order to communicate appropriate message to appropriate audience. So here we need to see the nature of media message, how your message needs to be, basically. And the first thing is, your message needs to be very clear, clarity, coherence. There should be some sort of sequence, logic, okay, and consciousness. We'll see what it is. The message, which is simple, clear, lucid, and concise, is generally understandable. Okay, generally understandable, because it is a simple subject, verb, object. It's not complex sentence, compound sentence. The words are understandable. They are not sophisticated. Okay. On the other hand, any message which is heavily loaded or is loose, jerky, overlapping, flabby, or vague becomes confused. Suppose in terms of print media, newspapers, if you are using flabbergasted, haphazard, so people may not understand what it is unless they are well educated. Okay, haphazard, confused. Simple words that they can easily understand. They need not to refer in phone, look for the word, the meaning of the word. Okay, simple. Coherence is another attribute of a good message. The message should flow logically. That's what I was meaning. Logically, there should be a flow from one sentence to the next sentence. Suppose if your paragraph is focusing on revealing the basic characteristics of a person, so you should only talk about that. Your topical sentence, okay, and the next sentences need to be flowing from that. So there should be a logical sequence. It should be a narration of a story. Okay. Next is simple language, as I have mentioned, simple language. The communicator should approach the concept of style warily and avoid the temptation to embellish the language with purple phrases. Okay, purple phrase. So when you write, you write in simple manner. Okay, because the reader has to understand at first instance. Okay, at least he should be able to make sense of the words, if not the sense of the complete meaning, but at least should make the sense of the words that he is reading. You may use your idioms or phrasal verbs, fine, but should be commonly used. Okay, the path to good effective communication is plainness, simplicity, orderliness, and sincerity. Messages with these attributes get understood, and that should be the aim of an effective communication. Of course, okay, it needs to be simple, orderliness. Okay, orderly. For example, beginning, middle, end, or conclusion. Okay, let there be. Suppose if you're writing a news story, that needs to be a subhead. Okay, then understand. Okay, that is following. Okay, every paragraph has a clear-cut central or clear-cut idea or a purpose. There is a need for the communicator to take all precautions to ensure that messages are not misunderstood. Here lies the importance of pre-testing and other forms of feedback. Pre-testing minimizes communication failures. Okay, so for example, you're writing a feature article. Okay, you give for first correction, second correction, third correction, and final correction. Once it is thoroughly scrutinized, and then it goes to the public. And likewise, we are giving a speech. Okay, let your speech be heard by someone. Could be a friend, could be a colleague. Okay, first give them, then they will give you some corrections, so that you understand you get to know the feedback. Feedback, okay, or pre-testing minimizes your failures. Okay, you may not be misunderstood easily. Okay. This method can also help to pre-test the following characteristics of a message. Effectiveness of appeal. So what sort of appeal you are choosing? Are you appealing to your to the audience emotions or head logic? Are you taking the appeal of demonstration or testimony? So what sort of appeal you are using? Okay. Readability. Is it readable? Easily understandable? Clarity. Do you maintain clarity of thought, clarity of idea? Effectiveness of presentation. How are you presenting it? Suppose you are writing a feature article. How do you begin your story? How do you begin your feature? Through an analogy or through quote or through a question? What way you start? Acceptability and appropriateness of length and layout of the message. These are the things that you need to keep in your mind. Next, credibility of the source. Very important. When it comes to any media, source plays a major role. Who says? Okay. To make the message effective and reliable, credible sources must be taken. Who in this process makes much critical role? Who said it? Who is the person? Is he the President of India or the Prime Minister of India, Chief Minister of Telangana, or principal of a particular college, head of the department of a particular department in a university? Who? Okay, that clarifies. Okay, so you can fall back. Okay, that particular day on a particular issue, this person made a comment. Okay. Who in the communication process is another important factor in communication that explains the importance of credibility of a speaker on a given topic. You will agree that the students of telecommunications will prefer to hear from an expert on telecommunications how a modern two-way network would be installed in a distant regions of the country. Okay, source with regard to who is very important to assess the reliability of the message, to assess the credibility of the message, to assess the effectiveness of the message. For example, media literacy subject. If a media literacy subject is taught by the faculty of mass communication and journalism, it has its own effect. The media literacy subject, it is taught by education, the faculty from literature department, English literature. Okay, they assess, okay, based on their lecture, based on their explanation, they try to assess. Likewise, for example, a topic called, let's say, misogyny and media. Experts from media, if they talk, then there is a credibility. There is some sort of reliability, authenticity. Likewise, if a person comes from sociology department talking about it. So you are able to understand the source. Okay, very important. Credibility. So you make it effective. That's what we call experts. Okay, subject experts. Next one is persuasion. Ultimately, you are sending across a message to your audience. For what? What is the purpose? It is to persuade. It is to influence. Influence from the point of view of advertisements to buy a product. From the point of view of news, okay, from the point of view of articles, it is to change your public opinion. You change your opinion, okay, or change your attitudes, motivations, behavior. Persuasion. The message to be effective must be persuasive. Persuasive means to influence you, to change your thinking, feeling, and cognitive act. That's behavior. This means that the contents and appeals should have the power to influence the receiver's attitudes. Sometimes when people talk on a particular issue, we get easily influenced. Oh, what he's saying is correct. With statistics, he supports his points with statistics, evidences. So we easily get influenced by his talk, because he is talking convincingly with the evidences. So when we feel that it is satisfying, then we change our perception towards the person, we change our attitudes towards the particular topic, towards a particular community, towards particular situation, towards particular political, whatever it can be. Okay, our attitudes are changed. Okay, and now okay, I will tell in the next point. Communicators today are acquainted with the package of techniques which can endow that thrust to the message. But before we mention them, let us know the techniques which we should avoid. Okay. Okay. Next is to inform people. The most fundamental objectives of media message are to provide information to mass people. It may be related to education, weather, sports, products, services, public holidays, festivals, recreation, and entertainment. So the basic purpose of media is to inform people about various things that are happening in the society. That's what media said is newspapers are window to the world, window to the world through which we can see, through which we can read, through which we can understand what is happening. Next is to build public opinion. I said, okay, one of the purposes of persuasion is to change, to build public opinion on a particular issue, on a particular issue, on a particular. Now different opinions are there. Different opinions are coming out. The issue that happened on Agnipath at the Secunderabad railway station. Okay, when we hear different perspectives, we get a fair sense of what it is, how it is. Okay, now people talk without being released outside the entire details about the Agnipath scheme. People have started without knowing, without studying how it is possible, who were behind it, does any political party involved? So these are the questions that come. So through these questions, they're trying to change the opinion of the public. Next is to circulate government policies. Okay, number of policies are introduced. For example, in Telangana, it has been there. Even now, then in Andhra Pradesh, number of Navaratnalu, number of schemes are into action. Okay, so government tries to promote them. Okay, then accordingly, how many benefited? They give status. How many benefited? How many have received this particular scheme? For example, Aragyasri in a month or in a year, how many have benefited? How much money is spent from government? Okay, so another function is to announce and circulate government programs and policies. Mass media can bring such messages to and public policies to the notice very quickly. To disseminate health and education programs, government initiates various health and educational programs like vaccination, sanitation, birth control, open education, mass education. These health and education programs are disseminated and implemented through mass media like radio, television, films, and newspapers, etc. Okay. Now, central government has a DAVP wing, Director of Audio Visual Publicity. So through that, they promote. Through that, they promote the government, central government schemes. Okay. Yeah, even with regard, during Corona time, about vaccination, about latest information about, okay, and government, what government is doing, how many, for example, in the case of Andhra Pradesh, during first wave, they had different centers to take care of the COVID positive cases. Okay, those who are mild. Okay, they had care, observation of 14 days. Different centers for those information. Okay, the policies like house patas, Aragyasri, pension, lot of schemes. Okay, it is to circulate them. The next one is to provide pleasure and entertainment. So solely the entertainment purpose, which you know very well. We have to go through. Next is to establish social contact and linkage. Media messages trying to establish and maintain social contact and linkage among various races, tribes, or communities. It creates an atmosphere of shared messages to spread knowledge and experience. For example, a campaign to raise funds for the treatment of certain diseases, or it could be for performing certain social activities that promotes social bondage and sympathy. These days, in television, different channels show children suffering from different they have a problem with they are trying to build some try to collect funds in order to treat these diseases. In order to treat these in that way, it is establishing some sort of social contact to promote political ideologies. Of course, that's what I said. Agenda setting, propaganda, agenda setting, what people should think when they open the newspaper in the next morning, what people should know when they watch news next morning. So it's all done by the wealthy, from the point of view of Karl Marx, the bourgeois. Okay. Political parties rely on mass media to promote their ideologies, plans, programs, and if you analyze, every political party has their own newspaper. Okay. Suppose TDP has no newspaper, but they have a direct political affiliation to Andhra Jyoti, ABN, TV5. No, we know with finger, we know easily, we understand easily. Now, YS Jagan Mohan Reddy has his own Sakshi. Okay, and the Honorable CM of Telangana has his own media like Namaste Telangana, Telangana Today. They want to promote their programs, promote themselves. Okay, so media, no, it is not today's trend. No, it was there in the previous those days when Rajiv Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi was to be promoted as a prime ministerial candidate. They have utilized the public broadcasting system, the Doordarshan. Heavily it was used. That's why they named it as Rajiv Darshan. Rajiv Darshan. If you go on the research a little bit of history about it, you will come to know. That's why Doordarshan was termed as Rajiv Darshan. Okay. Next is media exposure and media filters. Media exposure and media filter. Media exposure means how audiences are privy to media message. How many times, for example, a particular news or a particular program or a particular serial or a particular advert, how many times they are exposed, the frequency. Okay, the frequency. To the extent to which audience have encountered specific messages in media content. It is a foundation of media effects research. Media filters refer to the factors that determine the type of news and content that is presented in media. The measurement of how people are exposed to media content is crucial for understanding of media use and effects, and has been a challenge for a long time. Okay, different people are exposed to different programs, different timings. Okay, audience segmentation is varied. Okay, hence it becomes very difficult to measure the exposure level. Today's media landscape ensures that individuals are exposed to diverse messages anytime, anywhere, and from a variety of sources on ever-increasing media platforms, resulting in complicated measurement of media exposure, because we have a media mix. Okay, we have a media mix or fragmented media. We are all, no, audience are fragmented. So they have to be reached out to different channels, newspapers, radio, television, films. Now it is with the digital media. Okay, it's digital media, social media, blogs, websites. So we have media mix. However, today's digital media landscape also offers new possibilities to map media exposure by means of passive measurement. So how do you exposure and attention? In everyday language, exposure is a term that is often used synonymously with the term attention. But with media literacy, we must draw an important distinction between the two terms. Furthermore, there is a sequence of 3 types of exposure. They are physical exposure, perceptual exposure, and psychological exposure to media messages. Only when all 3 conditions of exposures are met can there be attention. Okay, attention. See, attention, people have selective attention, selective reception, selective retention. Okay, so basically, okay. But here, exposure is categorized into 3 forms: physical exposure, perceptual exposure, psychological exposure. We will see each one of them. Physical exposure. The most foundational criterion for exposure is physical presence. Okay, are you physically present before TV? Or how are you? How have you got exposure to this particular news item or an ad? A person must experience some proximity to a message for exposure to take place. Physical exposure means that the message and the person occupy the same physical space for some specific period of time. For example, you have watched television from 8 to 8:30 news. So physical exposure, you are concentrated. Physical exposure at the same space, specific period of time have taken place. Thus, space and time are regarded as barriers to exposure. Likewise, if a TV is turned on during lunch for an hour, anyone who walks in after lunch or is not physically exposed to a TV message. Okay, you are eating, but TV is on, but there is no person. Someone comes, okay, it's not physical exposure. It is not physical exposure means you dedicate time. You dedicate time to watch. Physical proximity is a necessary condition for media exposure, but it is not a sufficient condition. A second necessary condition is perceptual exposure. Perceptual exposure. What does it say? Any message is called a stimulus. A strong emotion-laden message impacts the receiver. Okay, perception means that which is connected to your mind. You are thinking. Okay. Suppose any disturbing message. Now trains have been burnt. Okay, trains are set on fire. So who has to spend money on that? Who will be paying? We people will be paying in the form of taxes. So public property is damaged. Ultimately, money will go from out of our pockets. It's something disturbing. That's one point of view. Now, youth are from the point of view of their employment. So it's disturbing. So many perspectives will come. In what way are we perceiving that particular message? However, before any stimulus or message can transfer knowledge, create an image or change an attitude or precipitate a behavioral change, it must be understood by the receiver. Perception is a process whereby an individual receives a stimulus through various senses in order to interpret. Therefore, information needs are met by nurturing the perception of audiences, their attitudes, values, interests, learning process, social context. Therefore, the ability of the source to codify messages with knowledge turns perception filter as an important condition for a successful communication process. Researchers attribute the effectiveness of a message to its media relevance. So basically, perception means how you perceive the message and interpret. Okay, this perception varies based on your understanding, based on your context. Okay. So psychological exposure, okay, psychological exposure means it's all your thinking, okay, it's little deeper than perception, Next is media stereotypes. Mass media has a huge reach in society and plays the role of a filter through which people learn about each other. However, countless studies demonstrate that media continues to reproduce ethnic, racial stereotypes, which often have harmful effects. Okay, today, if you watch some critical movies, they're all based on real life issues that people are undergoing. Okay. Recently, a friend of mine shared about Ashram. Okay, Ashram web series. I just out of curiosity, I wanted to just check. Just to open the first episode. The first episode itself is talking about caste-based issues. Okay, in Uttar Pradesh. Okay, the particular sect of people should not go in procession, should not celebrate in our ways. Okay, so it's all demonstrating to reproduce the same ideologies. In various types of news, drama, gaming, ethnic minority groups are typically marginalized and overlooked. They are generally represented and are shown only narrowly stereotyped roles, are depicted negatively as the problematic other, disproportionately represented as violent or criminal, and less than dominant groups, that is, less intelligent, less wealthy, less powerful. As I said, in a film, if a woman is asking questions to her husband, that means she lacks knowledge, which means women are less knowledgeable. That is the stereotypical mentality. So that is the ideology you are communicating to people through media. Certain times men, in the process of making decisions, in the process of discussion about a particular issue in the family, in films, if wife enters, go and bring tea. So these are the sentences used. That means what? You are only meant for kitchen. Stereotypes. Ethnic minority media produced by the ethnic minority groups generally offer more positive representations and a counter narrative to mainstream stereotypes, but can also be prone to narrow typecasting and stereotypes. This results in pervasiveness of stereotype representations across media formats and shows up as the outcome of complex media production processes, norms, values, commercial drivers, and a lack of ethnic minority media producers. Nonetheless, though the impact is hard to measure, it is potentially significant. Mass media plays a role in shaping collective identities and intergroup attitudes, and by typecasting certain groups, media thoroughly distorts the picture for different groups. Okay, media distortion happens. It is from the point of view of readers, viewers, consumers to be active, to be alert, and read in between the lines whatever the media tries to portray to the public. It is also suggested by various researchers and professionals in the industry that these skewed media representations can not only promote public hostility toward other ethnic groups, but also lower ethnic minority individuals' self-esteem. Of course, as I have narrated, the first episode in Ashram movie, the first 20 minutes, so clearly shows how Dalits are looked up to, how they are seen, how they are treated. There is a competition running. I think it is like not boxing. It's I think wrestling or some sort of that fight. Okay, it was a fight for selecting nationals. So wherein a Dalit lady, wins over the upper caste lady, but the judges decide, the person who lost the game will be announced as a winner, because we don't want Dalits to come forward. We don't want them to come forward. So looking down upon them. Such things instigate anger, instigate people to fight. So same incident in the same series. See, films are what? They are the representations of society. Okay, again they go. They have gone in a marriage procession. Okay, procession. They have entered into the upper caste streets. So there was a fight. One person was beaten to death. So they went to complain to police, attempt to murder case, and police mistreat them. Okay, and they clearly show how the upper class. So these incidents. Okay, writings about them. All these things instigate people. As a result, of course, it's a truth that you are sharing to the people, but people get it to their hearts and then try to create a ideology around it. As a result, research into ways to combat stereotypes and promote more positive representations in the media is very critical. Gender stereotyping. A gender stereotype is a preconception about attributes or characteristics or the roles that are ought to be performed by women and men. A gender stereotype is harmful when it limits capacity of women and men to develop their personal abilities, pursue their professional careers, or make choices about their lives. Also, very clearly distinguishes in films. Okay, very clearly distinguishes in films. Some of the prominent people also make, I think if I'm not mistaken, sometimes there were comments on dress code. A dress code by women. Women should wear. If they have not worn that way, it should have not happened that way. Okay, how they stereotype. Whether overtly hostile, such as women are irrational, or seemingly benign, women are nurturing, harmful stereotypes perpetuate inequalities. As I said, clear example, if a woman asks question to her husband, that means they are less knowledgeable. Okay, they are not even considered. For example, the traditional view of women as caregivers means the child care responsibilities often fall exclusively on women. Of course, even today today is the same case. Further, gender stereotypes compounded and intersecting with other stereotypes have a disproportionate negative impact on certain groups of women, such as women from minority or indigenous groups, women with disabilities, women from lower caste groups or with lower economic status, migrant women, etc. Today, if a man sweeps home, he's like a woman, like a lady. But it's not the case. If the situation demands, man has to cook while her wife is engaged in taking care of the child. Gender stereotyping refers to the practice of ascribing to an individual woman or man specific attributes, characteristics, or roles by membership in a social group. Gender stereotyping is wrongful when it results in a violation of human rights and freedom, basically freedom. Examples include not criminalizing marital rape, perceiving that women are the sexual property of men. Okay, no. See, women have freedom. Okay, suppose if you want to meet intimately, you need to have the consent. You should not force because they have the freedom. They undergo a lot of changes in their physical body. So we need to understand that failing to investigate, prosecute, and sentence on any sexual violence against women, believing that victims of sexual violence agree to sexual acts as they're not dressing and behaving modestly. See, I mentioned at this point, because they were that way, people got instigated and did it. It is not justifiable. It is not justifiable. Wrongful gender stereotyping is a frequent cause of discrimination against women. It is a contributing factor in violations of a vast array of rights, such as the right to health, adequate standard of living, education, marriage and family relations, work, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, political participation and representation, effective remedy, and freedom from gender-based violence. Political participation. Okay. Now, slowly, women are given certain percentage. Okay, in the first term of CM KCR's cabinet, there was no women. Now, when he reshuffled the cabinet, they have incorporated Savita Indra Reddy Garu, then some Rathod on Ma'am Rathod, Kiran Rathod, Ma'am is there. Okay. Now, even in Andhra Pradesh, if you take a cabinet, they have at least 3 to 5 women taking ministerial posts in the cabinet. Okay. This is what about the fifth module, fifth unit. We go into sixth unit. Okay, sixth unit is on media studies and media literacy. Media studies and media literacy. Sorry, sixth unit. Okay. Mass media reaches out to influence and impact people with a goal to inform, educate, and entertain a larger number of people. That's the primary, as we have explained in the previous unit. It is to inform people. It is to influence people. It is to create some impact on people to make certain decisions, to change certain opinions, besides educating, entertaining. Media play a pivotal role in our lives, despite the fact that its consumption often goes easily unnoticed. So today, media consumption is so much that we are not able to identify ourselves that we are so much engrossed or saturated. Okay, does fish know that it is wet? It's a famous quote from Marshall McLuhan. Does fish know that it's wet? That means so much we are engrossed into media, so much we are living in a media saturated world. So, but what to do with all the information remains a moot question. That's where media literacy comes into picture. Media literacy involves the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media. We are accessing, we are analyzing, and evaluating. Besides this, we are also creating. Okay, creating. For example, creating can be a response. Creating can be, you can create a video and based on an issue, based on a content. Okay. Media communication has become quite a force in society today, allowing for consumption of loads of information with digital consumers turning as masters of media multitasking, which involves simultaneous contact with two or more forms of media. For example, okay, you will be accessing WhatsApp, but you will be also listening to music. Okay, multitasking. Okay, you will be researching on computer, but you will be operating WhatsApp also. You will be seeing Facebook also. Okay, multitasking. Okay, you have simultaneously contact with various forms of media. As consumers of media, it is important to have the ability to understand, translate, and use the information we receive appropriately with verification. Media literacy is actually not a new phenomenon. Starting with the invention of printing press in the 1400s, media has developed as a form of communication beyond the interpersonal. In the industrial era, newspapers and magazines were a force to reckon with. Though continual advances in technology expose us to more and more media, the use of technology and digital literacy go hand in hand. Technology allows for greater expansion of mass media outlets, starting with the internet, but we also must consider Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the list goes seamlessly. We are provided with a variety of forms of media. How do we respond to the information that is presented? How do we understand it? How do we translate it? How do we translate it into our into our representation, or talking about it, discussing about it? Okay. Issues and trends in media literacy. What are the issues and trends in media literacy? We will see one by one. Media literacy consists of practices that allow people to access, critically evaluate, and create or manipulate media message that we have seen. Media literacy is not restricted to one medium, is understood as a set of competencies that are essential for work, life, and citizenship. See, media literacy is a set of competencies. What are the competencies? Questioning ability. Do you have a questioning skill? Okay. Do you have a critical thinking skill? These are the competencies. Do you have a knowledge about legal skills? Legal skills with regard to your privacy invasion. For example, social media. Do you know privacy invasion? IT, information technology acts. Do you have a legal skills? Do you have a comparing and contrasting different news stories and formulating a statement? Those related skills. Okay, these are competencies. Okay. Media literacy education is used to advance competencies and is intended to promote awareness on media influence and create an active stance towards both consumption and creation of media. Okay, you should have awareness on media consumption, that is your media habits or media diet. How many hours do you have access to media? What is the media you are no, engaging with? In which media do you watch news? Okay, in YouTube, what are the sites that you have access to? So you watch out your media consumption. Watch out. Be aware of your media diet. Okay. So if it is pertinent, are you creating, and suppose you are creating in my own ways, responding. For example, you have certain issue going on in the newspapers and it is presented very negatively. So do you have a courage to write a letter to the editor? Or do you create a Facebook post or Instagram post and share your opinion? Are you ready to face the criticism from people? Okay. Media literacy education is part of the curriculum in the United States and some European unions as part of an interdisciplinary approach where global community of media scholars and educators engage in knowledge sharing through scholarly and professional journals and national membership associations. Okay, media literacy is very famous in not only in United States of America, it's very famous in Canada, Australia. They incorporate into curriculum as one of the important subjects to teach for the students so that they develop critical thinking skills. Okay, critically thinking skills or critical analyzing skills. As the media increasingly mediate, there is growing emphasis on ensuring that for people, media literacy is not only there to engage, even society engagement is there through media. Through media, it is not only just reading for knowledge sake or entertainment. It's even for social engagement, society engagement. Okay. In this digital age, media literacy is much needed, and it advocates should grab the opportunity with both hands and advance the cause with all their energy. In the face of multiple problems of hate speech or cyberbullying, or hacked YouTube content or fake news, etc., we are witnessing urgent calls to manage the media environment better, especially to regulate the internet. No, I'm very happy that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University has incorporated media literacy subject into a PG curriculum. Okay, I'm very happy. I'm very happy because not many colleges in Hyderabad. As per my knowledge, Usmania University has a paper discipline specific elective. In some colleges like Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet, they have a discipline specific elective. Elective on media literacy. And second thing that I come to is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Okay. Now, other colleges, they don't have this particular interdisciplinary course. No, we can introduce it as a general elective for students, so that we can impart literacy like newspaper literacy, electronic media literacy, social media literacy, advertising literacy, film appreciation. So these are the literacies that people have to be, general public have to be equipped with. They need to understand media and analyze media messages, not just plain statements making, oh, that film is not good. No, beyond making that film, what is the process that undergoes? So people have to be made aware of that process. So the aim of media literacy activities include is the ability to fully use media technology. Okay, so you are able to utilize media technology. You are able to use social media. For example, you know how to create a Facebook post. You know how to create a Twitter account. Now you know to tweet. Okay, Instagram usage. So it's a media technology, ability to fully use media tech, fully express oneself using these technologies. Okay, you have understanding about how it functions. Are you able to express yourself? Are you able to express yourself? Okay, maybe as I said, in the form of a Facebook post or Instagram post or a tweet, whatever. Critical judgment when consuming media. Suppose you are reading about a particular incident. Okay, are you able to make statement? Do you enjoy your freedom of speech or freedom of expression? are able to formulate a critical judgment. To reflect both as producer and consumer of media. Are you able to reflect as a producer of a content? So reflect, you are responding means you are becoming a producer of a content. Okay. This content will be consumed by many others. So as you are a prosumer, like you are producer as well as consumer. Moral and ethical behavior within media context. How are these moral standards, ethical standards are maintained? Okay. Media issues related to the ways that media represents and sometimes misrepresents specific groups of people. How media influence our attitudes and behaviors and the ethical decisions we make as media consumers. So basically the portrayal of different issues, the portrayal of different problems through media, how it is happening, how it is represented, how it is misrepresented too, because we know by Noam Chomsky, 5 filters, okay, a particular news gets reshaped, misshaped. Okay. Next, media literacy is sometimes conceptualized to address the negative dimensions of media, which include media manipulation. Okay, all of us know media manipulates information. For example, a minister is involved in a particular case. Let us say it's all assumption. Let us say, okay. So since they are in government, okay, the media do not want to take risk. Okay, media do not want to take risk, so they misshape, manipulate the information, or even they give the truth to the public. Okay, express the disseminate truth to the public. They hide certain facts and figures. Misinformation, gender and racial stereotypes, the sexualization of children, and concerns about loss of privacy. Today, of late, Facebook has employed certain privacy settings. Okay, privacy settings. Otherwise, it was very difficult for people to have their privacy. Cyberbullying and internet predators. By building knowledge and competencies in using media and technology, media literacy education provides a type of protection to children and young people by helping them make good choices in their media consumption habits and patterns of usage. So ultimately, why do we need this media literacy? We need media literacy to develop our media consumption habits, okay, our media exposure habits. No, we need to change our media exposure habits and formulate certain pattern of usage. What are the issues of media literacy? Basically, the issues of media literacy are like fake news, media bias, and mental health concern, and internet and media access. Let's see one by one. Fake news. Today all of us know fake news, how it emerges. Okay, how it emerges, from where it emerges, how propaganda is done with the help of fake news. In the internet age, fake news and disinformation has become widespread as we are not able to differentiate between real and fake news unless you take time to verify the news. Just because we don't verify the news, there are certain agencies who do this work. Certain agencies who do this, like Newsmeter, Factly. So these are all fake news checking units, okay, independent units. The media we consume shapes our opinions on many different important topics, including politics, healthcare, and current events. Okay, the media we consume shapes our opinion. Very important point. The media we consume shapes our opinion. For example, if you constantly read Sakshi every day, only that particular newspaper, you formulate opinion only what is projected by that particular medium. If you only read Andhra Jyoti, you will only get the ideologies or the opinions of TDP. Media shapes our opinion. Okay, that's why you need to compare and contrast always. Do not depend on one particular medium for any information. The last thing we want is to base such important opinions on lies and misinformation. Platforms such as Instagram and Facebook allow rapid sharing of information, which gives news a chance to spread quickly, often making the fake news seem believable. Okay, always fake news seems believable. That's why they don't rely more on social media. They rely more on print media because it is credible and reliable. Not all fake news is distributed with ill intent. There is a landscape of both intentional and unintentional sharing on social media. Intentional, okay? Intentional means purposely done, purposely, deliberately spread fake news about a particular person, particular organization, particular sect of people. Unintentional, for example, WhatsApp forward, okay? I have not verified this information. Without verifying, I just forward to my contacts. So it is unintentional sharing, okay? Next one is media bias, which means media slant. Also, it can be called as, okay, you lean on to one particular media. You believe only one particular, whatever the one particular media says, okay. As we explore the blog post in understanding the media bias, it is observed that it is an ongoing issue within the media industry. Media bias is a result of biased opinions of news distributors while selecting stories and events that gets covered in media space and time. Okay, you develop particular opinion. You suppose you are you have a constant exposure to one particular, let us say, Enadu Telugu newspaper. Okay, you are biased. So you hold only those opinions. Okay. This is an extremely important issue to tackle. With no knowledge of media literacy, it could misinterpret the events that are unfolding with inherent media bias. Journalists and news producers often paint situations in a light that favors one side of the story. So that favors one side of the story. You will not cover completely. So you get only one point and you stress only that particular point. Okay, one particular. So for example, Andhra Jyoti covers, so government is not able to provide 24 hours electricity for farmers. But government, these people are also in the government. 2014 to 2019. Okay, why they are not able to provide? These they will not talk. They will only say government is not providing. So one barrier bias, one particular point, one side of the story is presented. We form our own opinions and views on situations based on what we consume in media. Bias can lead to consumers not getting a full understanding of scenarios and topics and impacts our opinions. So if we are not having an understanding or holistic understanding of a particular issue or a topic, we tend to land up in bias. It impacts our opinion making, okay? Therefore, media literacy is important as it allows us to think critically about the information we get. Next one is media health concerns. Sadly, a lot of media available today poses a threat to the mental health of young individuals. For example, studies have shown a link between heavy social media use and anxiety and depression. Along with the risk of bullying and harassment online, there is also the pressure of comparing yourself to everyone else on social media platforms, okay? Peer pressure, okay? Comparing with other peers. This leads to mental health issues. Influencers are now prominent over all social media platforms, painting a picture of what you should look like or should be doing. However, along with a lot of things online, these posts are not always truthful. The photographs do not portray a real aspect of people's lives and tend to highlight the luxuries. Okay, what is shown on reel is not real. Okay, what is shown on reel is not real. Okay, it is only a fictional. It's a created. It's a hyper reality. In the words of Jean Baudrillard, hyper reality. Often they are sponsored or highly curated content with the intention of selling or promoting a certain brand or product. Okay, some certain brand or product. Suppose you want to use all your friends are using Apple mobile phone, so you want to use Apple mobile phone. Okay, you're constantly exposed or you compare. Okay, I am not having, they are having it. Okay, it leads to mental ill health. In particular, younger audiences may not understand the full extent of these posts and compare themselves to what seems like an ideal life. Critical thinking skills are essential for viewing such content objectively. The ability to differentiate between worthwhile content on social media could be the ability to differentiate between a positive and negative social media experience. By developing social media literacy skills, we can help work towards a future where no one feels socially isolated. So here one more, no, media literacy, social media literacy, how to view the content, how to perceive the content that is posted. Next issue is internet and media access. Next issue is internet and media access. Another thing to consider is access to media and the internet. For many of us, having a strong Wi-Fi connection and the technology to access the internet does not seem like a luxury. However, there are many people who do not have such a privilege. Okay, today, because I am a faculty, I enjoy certain privileges, maybe with regard to status, maybe with regard to no thing. I'm not that great in no, from the point of view of finance, but it's a basic need today. Wi-Fi is a basic need to take online classes. For example, I'm taking a class. Okay, this is a privilege for me. Okay, luxury, a small sense, but there are people who do not have this facility. No, we have encountered while online classes when we have taken no survey. We have encountered people. Some people do not even have laptops. Okay, people do not even have laptops to give exams. Okay, so in that sense, we need to think about access, availability, affordability. Access, availability. Sorry, is it accessible? Then is it available? And is it affordable? So we need to think these questions. Those who are not fortunate enough to have easy access to online platforms may not be as accustomed to news formats and information online. When exposed to media, they may struggle to differentiate fake information from real information. So it's important to educate everyone on media literacy skills. Okay, then we have trends in media literacy for today. As it is time, students, we stop it here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Anjaya, is it clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will continue in the next class. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, students. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.